Svarim about tshuva. As Rav Kook really talks about the experience of a person. Meaning it's not just a technical, this is how we do tshuva, these are the things that we have to do tshuva over. This is how we do tshuva, right? This is why we do tshuva. It's what does it feel like to do tshuva? What does it feel like? What are the different stages? What are the different experiences? What are the different sensations? Right? Whereas I have a book at home, a new book that's well known in the world of tipul of therapy, from a lady named B'nai Brown. It's called Atlas of the Heart. I think it's called, or Atlas of the Heart, and it's giving names to, I think, 70 or 80 different emotions and explaining them. So if I asked you, how many emotions do you feel? So most people would say, I've got about 5, sad, happy, glad, and these are all the same, right? Mad, I don't know, you give me some angry, how many emotions do we have already, right? But there's so many different subtleties. What the premise of that book, and something that's very important in tipul and therapy and also in general, to be a healthy person, is to be able to, the more accurate you can describe what's going on with yourself and understand what's going on in yourself. If you come to the doctor, something's hurting me. Well, where does it hurt? I don't know. Right? So he can't help you. But the more accurate that you can get, the more information you're giving the doctor to be able to, right? So that same thing for yourself. What's going on with me? I'm feeling like this. I should be feeling like this. I think I should be feeling this. I don't want to be feeling like this. Why do I feel like this all the time? Right? Sometimes our emotions are very self-explanatory. Our experience is very, very self-explanatory. This happened, right? My wallet got stolen, and therefore I'm feeling sad right now. Right? Or something didn't come through, or something great happened, and therefore I'm feeling happy. Right? It's a very simple equation. But then there's a lot of our experience which is not, we can't understand it, right? And a lot of the pain, the human pain that goes on in the world, is made double by the fact that we don't know what it is. Meaning, it's enough that I'm feeling sad already, but the fact that I don't know why that I'm feeling sad really bothers me. Just like if when a person that has an ailment going on in his body, and he doesn't know what it is, but he's feeling some type of chronic pain. Until he gets a name for it, he's twice as distressed, because it's not just the pain; it's also what's going on with me. The minute that the doctor gives him an accurate and proper diagnosis, so he already feels a little bit better. At least I have a derech now, right? Sometimes not if the diagnosis is really bad, but at least I know what it is, right? Rav Kook is explaining that we have all kinds of psycho-emotional, spiritual experiences that we don't understand where they're coming from. The world of psychology tries to give certain explanations for those. The world of medical science tries to give another explanation for it, right? But there's also spiritual explanations. And really, according to our belief, that the spiritual explanation is really ultimately the shorsh. It's the depth of what's going on, right? I say, well, I'm feeling spiritually connected right now. Okay, well, if I put you in an MRI, I can tell you exactly why you're feeling that. You're having a higher level of release of dopamine in your brain, and you're having serotonin, and there's all different kinds of there's a whole biological explanation of what you're feeling. But that's not the cause of why I'm feeling it. That's just what's happening.
I'm having one on the 18th.
MRI. It should be betzlach and siyata d'shmaya. Should be good for all of Klal Yisrael.
Depends to whom you go. If you go to the psychologist, you get one answer. If you go to the Rabbi, getting that different completely.
Right. Well, I'm feeling happy. How do you describe that? How do you explain that? Why am I feeling happy right now? Well, something happened and it caused this type of thing. You're smiling. Look, you're smiling. Yeah, smiling is right. But what's the shorish of it? So that's where Rav Kook really goes with so much of the sefer. And again, in this piece, that's what he's going to do. Something that is extremely prevalent in our times, which I don't believe that it was this way throughout most of history. I don't have a proof for that, but anxiety. Extremely high levels of anxiety in the world today. Everybody experiences anxiety. Every human being experiences anxiety in their life, but the amount and the chronic levels of anxiety, the persistence of anxiety in our generation is something that I don't believe there's a precedent for. And so, how do you explain that? Well, there's wars, there's news, there's internet, there's all kinds of different changes that have taken place. So we don't know exactly what causes it, right? But there's a particular type of anxiety, a particular experience of anxiety, because a lot of times we put a lot of distressing experiences under the umbrella of anxiety, right? There's a particular one that Rav Kook is going to talk about right now. Let's jump in without any more introductions. Kol chet matil charada miyuchedet ala nefesh. Every sin, and the sin here doesn't only mean, from the 613 mitzvot, or from transgressing one of the halachot in Shulchan Aruch, but anything that's off balance the person does, like we've learned many times, that chet means lachti hamatara, to miss the target. That's the concept of chet. It's not an intentional thing. It's an unintentional thing. It's out of balance. I missed the target. I didn't get it just right, right? And therefore, there's something imbalanced. Could be towards myself. Could be towards my body. Could be towards my soul. Towards my fellow man. Towards my Creator. But every time that I get off a little bit, so that causes a certain type of anxiety in the soul. Isn't that unbelievable? You guys don't think it's unbelievable? I think it's unbelievable. Right? If you eat something, if you eat something that's not so healthy, even though it tastes pretty good, right? So your body's not so happy with it, right? You feel satiated. You're not as hungry as you were before, and the taste was pretty good, but your body might not be so happy about it. But does your body let you know? Yes. Sometimes, if you're sensitive, if your body's very sensitive, my body happens to be very sensitive. So if I don't eat something that's not extreme, there are some people that are a lot more sensitive than my body, but depending on your sensitivity level, some people eat terribly their whole life and they don't feel any necessarily right until later when it's
Are we talking about like the conscience here?
No, I'm talking about the body, just on a body level right now, right? But your body's not happy with it. Your body functions a little bit less well, right? It might be minuscule, right? But it affects your body negatively, right? So I'll just finish it. So if a person sins, whether it's to himself or to others or to Hashem, like we said again, so a little bit of off balance, it causes a certain level of distress and anxiety in his system, his psychology and his emotions. He might not pick it up. It might be too subtle for him to feel it, but that's what it causes. Once it gets a lot, just like if a person's eating terribly and treating his body terribly, eventually the body's not going to take it anymore, right? So the mind won't take it anymore, the soul won't take it anymore, and the person's going to feel a tremendous amount of anxiety from it. Might not necessarily understand where it's coming from.
How can we understand the soul anxiety?
What do you mean?
Rob says like the soul has this anxiety, like I don't know what we are talking about.
Anxiety is today they talk about anxiety like a acute anxiety as a physical response. It's a physical reaction because it can be measured physically, right? Person who's having an anxiety attack, for anybody that's had experience with that, right? It's physical. It's painful, right? But most anxiety is experienced in the mind. It's experienced in the emotion, in the head, and in the emotion, right? It also translates physically, but right, it's distress is an emotional, psycho-emotional experience, right? You can look at two people and they look very, very calm. They're both sitting on a bench. They both look very, very calm and at ease. And one of them really is calm and at ease, and the other one is experiencing severe distress at that moment, right? So you can't necessarily pick it up physically always. Sometimes, yeah. But anyway, the point is, the reason why it's such a powerful sentence is that, but sinning is when a person sins to themselves or to others or to whatever and whatever level and when he's off balance, it causes something. It has a reaction, right? It's not just like there's this mystical spiritual accounting book in heaven, Micha did this many good things, Micha did this many bad things, and chas v'shalom, and right, and afterwards we'll see where it all falls, how it all plays out. That's not how it works. There's an actual response to your system, right? An immediate response to your system as like in real time. What are you supposed to do about that anxiety? And the only way to really get rid of it is tshuva, right? And that's ulefi omka shel tshuva, and that's why. Sorry, sorry. I know I'm talking a lot outside today, but that's why in many cases, not in all cases, but like taking pharmacological. Taking a pharmacological route to try to deal with psycho-emotional pain it's not necessarily, in most cases, it's not a solution, but it can be helpful. It can be helpful to ease some of the pain in order that the person can be able to deal with what he has to deal with. But until he really goes for the shorish of it, it's not gonna really solve it. It can only just ease some of the symptoms and the pain of it, right?
It's like bumpers for bowling, like keeps you within the track, like you need to be going off the rails.
Exactly. Beautiful analogy. And therefore, it's important, and we should. It's a big blessing that we have that in our generation. But we also have to understand exactly what we can do with it and what we can't do with it, right? So the only way to really uproot it by its shorish is tshuva, is coming back to your source, coming back to yourself, coming back to Hashem. What happens that charada? It doesn't just erase it and it disappears, but according to the depth of the tshuva that he does, depending on how deep he does it, that same energy of anxiety and fear and distress that he was having turns around, becomes transformed into trust, into bravery, right? Into, how do you say, ometz levav, strength of the heart, confidence, right? Meaning, if anxiety is fear and a sense of loss of control about something, whatever it might be, right? And what might happen. So it doesn't just get erased and now I'm back to zero. That same place, that same energy that was being used in that way in my soul, now gets turned around and becomes this place of confidence and trust, right? So that's the principle. Now Rav Kook just says something that's very interesting here. He says, how can you pick up this anxiety? How can you see this anxiety? So if we go into an MRI, so they tell us one thing, or right, check our blood pressure, check our breathing, check our sweating. There's different biomarkers to be able to sense anxiety. But this
That's an effect of the anxiety. It's the effect of what you're going through.
Exactly.
Because what is going through, you see it in the psychological behavior. He's anxious, he's jumping at this, and he needs medications. It's all spiritual. It comes from the spiritual.
But there are people. That's true. But there are people that you can't sense anything on them. I've been actually very surprised in my life as a rabbi, as a therapist, that a lot of times now I don't at this point in my life I don't assume anything about anybody. But and it's because I've been surprised so many times that people who their demeanor, their affect is so calm, sometimes they're experiencing the highest levels of anxiety that I've encountered.
That was me. Nobody believed me, like what was going on. I actually got admitted to the hospital like 8 times. They came in and said I had like schizophrenia, bipolar, and all this.
Wow.
But it was interesting. It was like a spiritual like tshuva that I was doing. I didn't know what tshuva was at that time, but I knew that
Wow, amazing story.
Yeah.
But you're saying, but your app, nobody would have known,
right? Exactly.
By just looking at you on the. Wow, that's amazing. So there you go. Right, case in point, it's impossible really to know. But Rav Kook says something very fascinating here. He says, but that charada, there's a roshem, there's an imprint that leaves on a person.
What Rav Kook is saying, that even the person who you don't imagine that what he's going through, the good therapist can read what's going in inside there actually. So even
could be. Right.
Get it out.
Right. So I was saying that Rav Kook didn't say it. Rav Kook's saying that there is a way that you can see on people the roshem, an imprint, the residue of what it is. Listen to what he says here. He says, how do you see it? That meaning there's all different kinds of anxiety, but this specific kind that Rav Kook is talking about that comes because of sin, because of some certain type of imbalance. He says, how can you see it? You can see it in the lines of a person's face, right? There's the smile lines. We talk about smile lines, and there's also stress lines, right? I don't know how to see it, but Rav Kook is just telling. This is just an interesting thing. You can see it in the lines in their face, the wrinkles in their face. Ben betnuot, in his bodily movement, in the way that he moves. Ben bekol, in his voice. Ben bahanaga, in his certain behaviors. Ben bechtav yad, in his handwriting. Right? You guys know that in our rabbinical tradition, there was many tzaddikim that were very, very knowledgeable in reading people's handwriting and knowing a lot about a person by seeing their handwriting. Ben b'signon lashon, and also the way that he speaks, b'dibur, and his speech itself. Ubiyoter, in the most powerful way is b'ktiva, in his writing, not his handwriting. The way what he writes about, his style of writing, how he expresses. And he explains the way he organizes his thoughts and the way he presents his thoughts. Right? In the very place where the sin stops the light from coming down, meaning if we would be totally clean, so to speak, totally imbalanced, not doing anything crazy, special, just imbalanced, naki, doing what we're supposed to be doing, not preventing. So we're made to be vessels of light. Hashem wants to shine His light through us, right? So if the light's not coming through, it means that something's blocking it. And what blocks it is some level of sin, whether it's collective sin, whether it's individual sin, whether it's generational sin, doesn't make a difference. But it says in the very place where the sin blocks that light, he's got a little blockage in that spot. Shama p'gimani keren. That's exactly where you can tell a person who has eyes, that knows all these different ways, and you can see where that's where the issue lies. Ulefi madregata chet, and according to the depth of the sin, ulefi yuchuso el hanoseh kacha yukar haroshem la'asher yabitu beinayim behirot. For a person who's looking with clear eyes, he can see exactly what's going on with the person, meaning he's talking about the tzaddikim that can see with clear eyes. He can see exactly what's going on with the person according to his soul and according to his relationship with that particular mitzvah or sin or whatever it might be. Right? So, very interesting. A little bit scary. When you go to tzaddikim, everybody's worried. So the tzaddikim, they always say that he's got X-ray vision. He sees through me. He sees everything, right? And we have many stories. Too many to start now. If I start, I won't finish. But we have so many stories of tzaddikim. A person walks in the room and they saw, they could see, right? And there was also certain tzaddikim that they daven to Hashem, that Hashem should take that away from them. I don't want to be able to see where a person's blemishes are and where they're right. Meaning the tzaddikim, it's not, when you go to a tzaddik, it's not, he doesn't see everything so you can say, look what you've done. You should be ashamed of yourself. Chalila. That's not in our lexicon. That's not part of Judaism. That's not what we're here for. If you're not doing good, and if I tell you that you're not doing good, what do I gain from that? The whole purpose is I'm supposed to try to empower you. When you go to the Sfas Emes says you go to a tzaddik for a couple of reasons. One is to see what's possible to happen, where a human being can reach. It's inspiring. And on the other hand, he says it's to be seen by the tzaddik. Because when he looks at you, he sees your potential. He sees where you can go. Right? And you see the way that he looks at you in that way. And that's incredibly empowering. Right? Many of us don't believe in our potential. And the tzaddik knows our potential. But sometimes the tzaddik sees exactly where your blemish is, where your hardship is, right? Where those lines are. And that's how he empowers you, not by making you feel bad about it and beating you down about it, but by helping you and giving you a way out of it. Right? You had something you want to say? Oh, okay. Okay. Let's go weiter. What do you guys say? That'd be great. I was hoping we finished the pack today, but traffic. Let's go to Yudalit. אין לשער את הצער של חסרון הרצון לטובה ולקדושה. If a person is lacking desire for goodness, for holiness, right? Motivation. It's impossible to measure how painful that is, of what that lack is. And wisdom, knowledge, only has a benefit in this world according to how much desire and motivation there is in it, right? Meaning, I could be if I'm paralyzed with depression, lo aleinu, but I'm a huge scholar, so all of my wisdom at that moment I can't use it. All of my Torah at that moment it's not at my it's inaccessible to me, or it's ineffectual in the world. Only lefi ratzon, right? You take take someone in our generation like Rav Steinsaltz, for instance, right? So Rav Steinsaltz is unbelievable what he did. You guys know what Rav Steinsaltz did? Everyone knows Rav Steinsaltz. The Talmud and all this, unbelievable, and Rambam, and I think he started also doing Shulchan Aruch. He said, I want to make this stuff accessible to all of Klal Yisrael, right? So everybody laughed at him. Who are you? Who are you in this generation that try to do such a thing, right? So who was he? He was a tremendous gaon. He was a tremendous genius, right? You guys know that he was, even before he became religious, he was a genius. He became Baal Tshuva. He grew up in Yerushalayim, totally secular, and he came to Kfar Chabad at age 16. He started writing with the Rabbi, and he came to in fact, the rabbi that I know, he says he was a bocher at that time in Kfar Chabad, and he said everybody was whispering, "Oh, here comes the genius from Katamon. He's a Baal Tshuva. He didn't even have a beard yet, right? A Baal Tshuva in this generation, right? What they didn't do, you're going to do." So he could have said, "Well, they're right." Right? But it was his ratzon. It wasn't his chokhmah. There's other Talmidei Chachamim that are just as big as Rav Steinsaltz, right? But it was his ratzon, his desire, his motivation to do such a great thing. That's what's made all of his wisdom something that bore fruit in the world, right? So therefore, it says, if you don't have that ratzon, if you don't have the motivation, which is that's the hallmark quality of depression, really, of severe depression, is just no desire, no belief that anything could change, that right? So just total yesh, despair. It says, and another thing that sins do is that it stops the ratzon from coming out in a person. It blocks it in a person. And therefore a person has to do tshuva sometimes just to be able to clarify his ratzon, to be able to pull out his ratzon. You have to cry out to Hashem, Ribbon Shalom, I don't feel anything, I don't feel desire for anything, I'm feeling totally unmotivated, save me, help me. That's called tshuva, for the ratzon. And therefore, in order for that all of our wisdom and learning can bear fruits and be beneficial. And so that's also the principle here. Agav, one of my Rebbes gave an analogy about this. It's an amazing analogy. He said he was talking about students that sometimes when you're learning Gemara and Halacha, sometimes it can become dry, and can lose your motivation if it becomes dry. So he said it's like you're walking down a river that's coming from a flowing mayan, a flowing wellspring of water. The water that water in the Torah is called Maim Chaim. It's called living waters because it has a fresh source. It's not just sitting waters, right? He said, but if the waters get closed off at a certain point and there's no flow there, so then that's called, then it's the flow is broken. It's no longer living waters. That's when the mosquitoes come. That's when all kinds of critters start to come there. If you're going to sit in that spot, if you feel like you're in that spot, that my water's not flowing, my soul's not flowing, my heart and my inspiration, my motivation not flowing, if you're going to sit there and try to fight every mosquito that comes, you'll never win the battle. Your job is not to fight mosquitoes. Your job is to try to get to the flowing water again. So he said, what should you? Take a sefer, any sefer that you know really, it's like dessert for you, right? It's something that's really juicy for you, something that's exciting for you, and learn it until your juices get flowing again. And now that you're feeling juicy again, you can get back into the Gemara, back into the halacha. So the same thing in life. If I'm feeling my life is just dry. I don't feel right or whatever. So like you have to find something that gets you going, something that gets you motivated, gets you juicy a little bit. So that's what. So that's what Rav Kook. Now Rav Kook says something interesting here. Of all the things that block our ratzon, he says the main ones are dafka, the sins between a man and his fellow man. Right? The rosh lekol, and the main one is gezel, is stealing. Right? Taking something that's not mine. So shehu me'akevet ilui ratzon, that blocks our ratzon from coming out. וצריך להתחזק בזה מאוד ולקוות לתשועת השם, לזכות בשלמות לחדום בעושק ידינו. And therefore we have to dive into Hashem. We have to strengthen ourselves as much as we can. And Hashem should help us that we'll be able to fix anything that we might have stolen. Why is stealing dafka the one that's the most problematic? Because the ratzon is I'm feeling motivated to go do something in the world, right? I want to push. I want to, right? Ratzon is all about, like, I'm not just like satisfied and at peace, nirvana with this place that I'm in right now, right? Ratzon is a push for more. It's a hope for more. It's a drive, right? Gezel is really, in a certain sense, the exact opposite. Gezel is I want to get something for free. You worked very hard and you purchased this thing with your hard-earned money, and now I'm going to take it, right? That's why it says that the pasuk says soneh matanot yichyeh. A person who hates gifts will have life. Why? The Sfarim say because the desire to like just get stuff for free, even if to get stuff for free, it depletes a person's motivation for wanting to make the world a better place, himself better or the world. Right, because it's the exact opposite movement, right? So it could be that's why Rav Kook is saying here that gezel in specific block a person's ratzon. Okay. Tedvav. Rav Kook says yeush sheba betoch halev. Despair that comes in a person's heart. Now you guys are wondering why is everything so negative today, right? Despair. What do we have? Lack of desire. We had anxiety, and now we're having despair. All right, what's going on here? That's because this is the parak where hopefully we'll finish today. We'll see if we're able to. That this parak is all about the different pains of tshuva in the world of tshuva, right? Okay, so Ayush, this despair that comes in the heart. Hu be'atzmo more. Wow, this is an amazing piece. More al mardut pnimit adina. It in itself is a proof. It shows a certain inner rebellion. Hanovat mitoch hakara yona shel musar v'shel kedusha, which flows from a place of a recognition, a high recognition of ethics and of holiness. What does that mean? What does that mean? This is an amazing thing, which I think that if we could internalize this, it would be very, very instructive for us in many aspects of our life. A lot of times, a person experiences something, an emotion, or reaction to something in his life, that for him that experience is unpleasant. He wishes it wasn't like that. It's not like the kind of person that he would like to be when he imagines who he is and who he'd like to be. But all he sees is the darkness of it. All he sees is the pain of it, and he doesn't see any positive, any silver lining. He doesn't see the shorish of it. But many times, the inner the implicit message in it, I'm going to explain what I'm talking about in a second. The implicit message is so positive. It's so hopeful. For instance, if a person is feeling yeush, if I'm feeling despair, what I feel despair from? Okay, I fell. I'm not going to be able to be a tzaddik now. I've fallen too many times. There's no way I'll ever be able to be a tzaddik. Right? So what do you say? Is he connected to be? Does he have potential to be a tzaddik? Maybe he really is, just not the fact that he feels despair about it, bichlal, shows that he's connected to it. You understand why? You understand why? Meaning, if I wasn't connected to it, I wouldn't feel any pain over it. Right? A lion comes and kills a zebra. Afterwards, he doesn't have any thoughts of tshuva. Golly, this guy had a family. What did I do here? And I didn't even cook him first. I ate him raw, just like this, like a prostachaya in the field, right? So there's no sense of remorse, gentlemen. I have to tell you, you may have not met people like this, but there's people in this world that are real cold-hearted, right? Shem save us, not good people. They really are in the world, right? We've got some neighbors like that here where we live here in the Middle East, right? So for them, they don't feel that. They don't get upset with themselves, and so to speak. It's not the same thing. The fact that I get upset with myself, ad kedei kach, now that's it. I'm giving up. Why are you in so much pain about it? You fell. Why are you in so much pain? Because you're connected to there. You just don't know how to get there right now. You can't see a way out of where you are. You can't see a way out of the cycle of falling, right? And therefore, you're choosing to be frozen. But that doesn't mean that you're saying, okay, that's it. I'm going to the beach. I'm going to join Hamas, right? Yeah, you don't. The despair is that's it. I'm stuck. I'm done. I'm toast. I can't, right? But that itself, right? It's unbelievable. If there's a couple that is fighting, right? So it's very painful to be in a fight with your spouse, but that also shows how much desire there is for something good here, right? If we can channel that, if we can tap into that, if we can speak from that place as opposed to just the place of pain, right? And they say the opposite of love is what? Don't say hate. Apathy. I don't care. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. It's yours. Right? Hate is from a place where I still believe and I still want something good out of here. I still believe there's something to get. I'm talking about a relationship, right? I still believe that there's something to be had here, and that's why I'm in so much pain that it's not like that, right? It could be so much better, and it's not, and therefore I'm so angry at them, right? So the apathy is just, right? I'm not connected to them, Bichlel. It's not my story, right? So that's what Rav Kook is saying. That the fact that a person has despair, it shows a certain type of inner rebellion. They're rebelling against the negative that happened here, right? The fall. They're rebelling against it by feeling despair. It's a funny thing how our minds do it, but you guys understand what we're saying. And it flows out of a place, a dafka a deep recognition of holiness, right? A deep recognition of ethics. And this is high level stuff here. Therefore, it's befitting that the despair itself yichazek batzmo yichazek libo shel adam. Oh, I feel despair. Oh, I feel strengthened by the fact that I'm feeling despair right now. Right? I mean, the fact that the Rambam says, like, if a person is so sick and they lose feeling in one of their limbs, then you have to take off the limb. But as long he might be in excruciating pain, but as long as there's still feeling there, so it's still connected to the rest of the body. Rav Kook even brings a piece like that before, right? So I'm feeling despair. Baruch Hashem, I'm still feeling connected. That means that there's a place in me I'm still connected to Kedusha. If I wasn't connected, I wouldn't feel despair b'chlal. Shelo yifchad v'yashuv mikol chet b'tshuva mleya shalva v'ometz v'ruach. And therefore, instead of despair as a I would call it, and we all experience despair. So this is not like a judgment thing, unless I'm judging myself. But despair is kind of like a childish reaction to disappointment and pain. That's what it is. I'm giving up. I'm not really giving up. I was telling my kids a story. I got real mad at my parents once. I said, I'm running away. That's it. This time I mean it. I packed up a little bag. I don't know what I had, cat crackers or whatever. And I went out into the backyard and waited for like hours for them to come and get me. And eventually they didn't come get me. I got hungry and it was getting dark, so I came back inside. Right. So that's despair. That's what we do as adults. It's the same thing. Right. I'm giving up. Please bring me in your heart. Please bring me closer. Please help me out here. Throw me a line here. I don't know how to do it. So So instead of taking that childish place of, well, I can't do it, take a deep breath. As Rav Kook says, instead we do tshuva not from a place of fear. I messed up. Okay, beseder gamur, beseder gamur. Right, like a kid riding a bike and I fell. I have scratches on my knees. Hakol beseder. Without fear, get back up. Yashuv mikol chet b'tshuva mle'ata. Do tshuva. The extensive tshuva, the depth of tshuva, everything that needs to be done, on everything that needs to be done. But shalva, filled with tranquility, the ometz ruach, and a strength of the heart. Well, with bravery. I keep on going weiter. Okay, we messed up. Yeah, it looks pretty bad right now. Yeah, beseder. Take a deep breath. We go weiter. Right, because we're still connected. Is the principle is all of Am Yisrael is going to get there one day. The question is how we get there, right? So like we can make it a shortcut, or we can do the long circuitous route. What do you guys? Do you think we have time for one more?
Okay. We can go to the buzzer until the rabbi kicks you out.
Let's do it. Okay, I'm gonna blame you when the rabbi kicks me out. Okay, here we go. Ted Zayin. That way, hopefully, we can finish this parak, and next week's our new parak. A person has a thought, a desire to do tshuva. It comes in his heart. I would love to do total tshuva. When you think about being a totally clean tzaddik, absolutely nikki, it gets you excited, that thought? Sounds pretty good. You would like it? Maybe we don't know how to get there, but sometimes when you have a moment where you feel like you want to do that. And you want to fix everything. You want to be an ish metukan. You want to fix all of your thoughts and all of your emotions. You want everything to be totally in balance. Even just in his thought, he's thinking, man, wouldn't that be nice? What happens is once I decide to, actually let's take it from the physical place first. You guys know I always like to do the physical because it makes it easier to understand. A person hasn't been paying attention to what they eat, hasn't been exercising, hasn't been, just drinking, black coffee, Coca-Cola, white bread, no exercise, sleeping 3 hours a night or whatever for like 20 years. They know their body's starting to feel something, but they're not exactly sure what it is, and they don't want to pay attention too closely. But eventually they're like, okay, I want to get this. I want to, what do you call it? Grab the bull by the reins, right? I want to get the, by the horns, right? I want to get control over this. Let me go get myself checked out, right? And he goes and he talks to a nutritionist and talks to whatever, and he says, wow, these levels are really high. These levels are your cholesterol. This, you got to get this, right? Immediate attention to this. Well, if I wouldn't have come here, I wouldn't have been in I wouldn't realize how many things have to be fixed, and I need immediate attention, right? Right? And I wouldn't be distressed about it. I would just kind of be feeling a little bit of a subtlety discomfort somewhere in my body, right?
That happened to me.
So it can save your life by getting checked.
That's exactly what happened.
There you go. So too spiritually. As long as I'm not looking at myself too much, not thinking I like to reach mamish perfect myself entirely. So like I know that there's certain things in my life that need fixing, certain things are imbalanced and whatever, or imbalanced, right? But all together, my boat's still sailing, so I'm gonna keep on going, right? But the minute that you take a look at it, all of a sudden you notice all the different places in your life that really need fixing, and it can be overwhelming. So that's what Rav Kook is saying. He says, don't be overwhelmed by it. Kikachu teva adar. That's the nature of it. Shekol zman she'adam hu nirdaf mipnei za'af hateva hagas v'cheshchat hamidot v'araot hasavot. As long as a person's just letting himself get caught up in the stream of the flow of bad midot and all kinds of a life, a more coarse, unrefined life. And then he doesn't feel necessarily his part in that. This is the way the world is. He doesn't feel his contribution to his imbalance. Sometimes he doesn't feel anything. And he even thinks I'm a great person. I'm perfect. I'm God's gift to the world, right? But the minute that he elevates his ethical muscles, so to speak, Miyad nigle or neshama. So all of a sudden, the light of his neshama starts shining in the world. When you bring a light in a dark place where there's lots of cobwebs and dust and everything, so all of a sudden, in the mikveh where I live, it's an old mikveh. It's not in the best shape. There's broken tiles, there's mold, there's different kinds of things. It's an old mikveh, right? And the lights were dim. So just this week they put in like these really bright fluorescents. So okay, great. But now you can kind of see where all the you see all the different things that are broken in the mikveh. You see how you know, I'd like it to be a little bit better over here, a little bit more clean over here, right? So when the neshama lights up a little bit, va'yedei ha'or nivdeket hi nafsho kula etzlo. So then that light shines, and he sees all the different places that need fixing, that are imbalanced. V'ro'eu et kol ktamen. He sees all of it, all the stains, all the blemishes. V'libo doeg b'kiyebo b'charada gdola mi'ut shlemut ve'omek nefilato. And he feels, gosh, he's in distress. I can't believe I'm in such bad shape. I can't believe my soul's in such bad shape. But that's davka place you should place in your heart. Pay attention. The fact that you see it, and the fact that you're aware of it, and the fact that you're bothered by it, those are great signs. Yeshuat olami b'tikun hanefesh v'yitchazek meod b'zeh b'Hashem Elokav. And those are coming to send him a message that there's a way to get out, there's a way to be healed and fixed over here, to fix his soul, and therefore she should take great strength in that, in that awareness, in that ability to see it, in Hashem, who's going to give him the strength to fix the job. So it's just like that we're hearing that, you know, sometimes we talk about if a person lives a bad lifestyle, an unhealthy physical lifestyle, eventually it's going to catch up with him. Our bodies can't live like that forever. But some people are more sensitive to it, and so they feel the symptoms earlier on. And some people, they're not less sensitive to it for all different kinds of reasons, and they only feel it afterwards. But a lot of the major diseases that we have in the world, a lot of the major diseases that are killing millions of people a year, we know exactly how to stop it. It's not some type of mysterious thing. It's not a mysterious thing. We know how to stop many, many things, right? Without naming them here. But you have to stop it 20 years before. You have to stop it 30 years before by changing lifestyles and diets, etc. Right? But if I go to the doctor and he says you were 1 day away from a heart attack, Has v'shalom, right? So I go and I open up to Hillel. I say, thank you Hashem. I make a sudat hodaya. What are you talking about? Now you have to go have a surgery. Yeah, but if I didn't have the surgery, I wouldn't be able to make a sudat hodaya next week because I won't be here. Chas v'shalom, right? So you'd be very thankful for that. So when you see the things that need fixing, instead of feeling, gosh, I'm a terrible person, I have so many things I have to fix about myself, say, thank God I see things that and this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing in the world. This is why I'm here. This is how I bring God into the world. Every place, gentlemen, this is something to carry with you in your mind. Every millimeter of place in your life that you fix, that you tweak, that you bring a little bit of holiness, you refine, that's a place where Hashem was not fully present in that place. And now your activity at that moment is revealing God in that place in the world. There's another millimeter, there's another centimeter, there's another meter, there's another relationship, there's another place in the world where HaKadosh Baruch Hu is now being revealed. That's my work here. That's all of my work here. Right? So instead of being overwhelmed, gosh, I have so much work. It's like a person who's starting a career. He knows for the next 50 years he's going to be working at this job. Right? So each day you give him just that day's work, right? That day's assignment. But if you put a huge list in front of him, these are all your assignments for the next 50 years. Go to work. Right? He's going to be overwhelmed. Right? But this is my job. I'm here for the next 50 years doing all these jobs. So you have a moment of clarity. I see all the different places that need fixing. Be'ezrat Hashem, you'll get there. You can't do it all in one day and in one night. Right? Le'at, you'll get there. Right? Take joy and strength in the fact that, Baruch Hashem, I've got a derech forward. I know what I have to do here. Okay, Baruch Hashem, we finished.